Bring it, Ronin. Tales of the Samurai II. The ROC, Reign of Chaos Empire. Once upon a time, there was a clan known as SAH. In 2014, they were created in January. They established themselves as a known clan in the Last of Us world, spiting strength and honor as key attributes in the gaming realm of The Last of Us, a game that has no mercy and cut throat with each other. Chimpy, who owned the clan, instructed his best friend, Sourface, to run the clan. And over the course of 2014, all the way until the summer, they established a name for themselves, dominating the Last of Us interrogation lobbies. But with great success comes great power. With power comes control. Sourface, though he created the clan, molded the clan, built the clan, made the clan what it is, he did not own the clan. He built another man's success. And in that, it really was not his success. Chimpy and Sourface began to clash. Sourface, cocky with his success, became an evil dictator. Dominating lobby after lobby. If a member screwed up, they would feel Sourface's wrath. Sourface was becoming consumed. Chimpy tried to talk sense into Sourface. However, it did not work out the way Chimpy wanted. Chimpy tried his best to talk sense into his best friend, who he feared he was going to lose. In the end, there was no stopping what was happening. Sourface left and took the entire clan with him except for a few of the scraps. Created a new clan known as LNF, hinting they were lost and not forgotten. Because of this, they went out and became the most smash-mouth, in-your-face, destructive, despicable clan at that time in the Last of Us community. Chimpy, depressed, he lost his friends and majority of the clan that he helped build, was not the same person he was when the clan was built. As Sourface's reign of destruction began and continued, the handyman was waging his own war, proving that he was one of the best interrogation defenders in that game at that time. Randomly encountered LNF and broke the record for most defensive downs in a match at that time, which was 45. As he destroyed LNF, who could not reach that lockbox and open it to win the game. This is the first time LNF have met their match. One single person, not even a clan, could do so much damage to one of the most known clans at that time at that game. Meanwhile, fast forward a week later, the Handyman encounters SAH. As LNF have proven, when they lost to the Handyman, they shit-talked, and then they rage quit out of there because they knew they didn't win. The Handyman does to SAH what he did to LNF. And after the match, they said good game. And it surprised the Handyman, who thought they would act the same way LNF did. The Handyman added this SAH, and they talked about LNF, and they recruited the Handyman to be their secret weapon against LNF. Thus beginning the SAH-LNF war, which has been raging on. With Handyman as an SAH member, they were destroying LNF. They finally had the edge they needed to start to win the war, and the Handyman was the difference maker. As time went on, the LNF members who were new, who were old, who left with LNF to make LNF from SAH, Sourface phased them all out, and some of them left on their own. Some even went back to SAH. As Sour created a new LNF in his image, one of the first people that he recruited, if not the first person he recruited that was not an SAH member, was Havoc. Havoc, unfortunately, got fucked over by Sourface. We will get back to that in a minute. As the war waged on with Sour's new LNF, they were losing the battle to SAH. Sourface was becoming extremely frustrated that this Handyman guy, this one single guy, just was a difference maker. This guy could not be beat at the lockbox. With this guy defending that lockbox, this lockbox can never be opened. Sourface had to dig deep. He had to do what needed to be done to eliminate the threat known as the Handyman. And he did just that. What he did was he took the Handyman's outer circle from SAH, Mr. Cat, Grimes, and Mr. Cat's best friend, and he turned them against the Handyman, knowing that the Handyman would be soft against his friends. It gave LNF the advantage against SAH. The Handyman, broken and shattered by losing his friends to a war that he thought he was in control of. This ruined him. The Handyman could not play his ex-friends. LNF now has the advantage. So Handyman was no more and died and became the Deadpool. The Deadpool was a complete 180 in characteristics, in passion, in fighting stance, in everything, personality across the board. It was a fresh start and a rebirth. Unfortunately, the Deadpool could not play his friends. Eventually, SAH started to lose the war again as LNF became bigger and bigger and more destructive and more villainous, raining terror throughout the entire Last of Us community. This unstoppable force that cannot be contained or slowed down in any capacity. SAH dumped the Deadpool and left him for dead. We fast forward 6 months later, January of 2016, as the Deadpool meets Havoc. The Deadpool, formerly known as the Handyman, was the first SAH member following the split of SAH/LNF, and Havoc was the first member that LNF recruited following the split with LNF and SAH. Havoc and Deadpool talked and said, we need to make a clan to enter a third party into the fray of the SAH-LNF war and dynasty. Thus, doing what LNF was doing, becoming bigger than LNF, being worse than LNF, more destructive than LNF, more talked about LNF, to the point where LNF and SAH both just die. And that's exactly what they did, thus creating the ROC, Reign of Chaos Empire. Throughout the first half of 2016, Havoc, Deadpool, and Blind Man created a crusade, infecting lobbies, ruining the experience for the entire community. But also, instead of playing by the rules of respectable Frag Nation, competitive rule matchmaking, ROC used purchasable weapons, cheap perks like smoke bombs and shivs, and covert training, something that LNF would not lower themselves to do. Even LNF followed the code of being respectable when it came to competitive. ROC had no disregard for any of that. ROC was there to make a name for himself and infect the entire community. Even the Facebook community felt the wrath. It was a war, not only in the game, but also in the Facebook groups, as ROC just went through everybody, pissed off everybody. ROC became bigger than LNF. ROC became bigger than SAH. ROC became bigger than the game. It was the most talked about clan in that game, and they were tearing the entire community apart. There is no length ROC would not go. Along the way, Sourface losing his top spot, losing his notoriety, losing his name value, and losing member after member because everybody's seeing who he really is. The one mistake ROC didn't make that LNF did was ROC didn't treat its members like shit. If you were in the clique, you were family and you got treated right. It's the one mistake ROC did not make. Through all that, LNF disappeared and was dead, and Sourface was never heard from again. As for SAH, they went up against LNF, they went up against ROC, and once again, the Deadpool, facing his former friends, he was once again soft. As SAH beat The Deadpool at the lockbox and open 2 clicks on the box. ROC comes in for the save. At a losing predicament, Doc, who started this Reign of Chaos crusade, who gained all the power in the world, all the success, after losing everything that this SAH-LNF war has dealt at him, once again freezing up. But Doc realized that being soft is what made him vulnerable against LNF. Doc, aka the Deadpool, needed to not care about SAH. He needed to say fuck you. He needed to fucking dump SAH as SAH dumped him. He needed to bury that chapter in his life. LNF versus SAH created ROC, and ROC needed to finish it. So Doc, in that very moment, with those minutes ticking by and the seconds closing in, Doc pulled one out of his ass. They all went over there with shotguns in all ROC fashion, Reign of Chaos, and brought the chaos to SAH. One by one they fell as ROC opened that box and won the game. And they never played SAH again, making them beg, making them desire a rematch so bad that they were never going to get. But throughout all the chaos, what led to the destruction of the Reign of Chaos was Havoc. The community found a way to get inside his head and attack his daughter. And in that moment, Havoc started losing it. The cracks started settling in. As the cracks settled in, he was starting to do what ROC was never supposed to do. Treat the members like shit. Doc, the Deadpool, did what was right by all the members, got them all to leave, guided them to safety, and ROC unfortunately met its demise. But ROC succeeded at eliminating LNF, thus SAH not winning the war against LNF, but Doc winning the war against LNF. And ROC was never heard from again until a revival on Fortnite, which was short-lived. Havoc lived happily ever after, finding life after the game. But the legacy of ROC and the Empire is legendary. SAH no longer exists. LNF no longer exists. The Deadpool became Doctor Who following the death of ROC. And the Doctor Who, went on to bigger and better things for so many years. In the end, SAH didn't win the war. LNF didn't win the war. Doctor Who won the war. And that is the Reign of Chaos Empire.